Everybody, it's Omar. It is Wednesday, September 26th, 6:03 p.m. and I want to make a video just talking about my watch list for tomorrow. So I built a quick watch list for tomorrow. Today the market seemed kind of dead. There was someplace, nothing too crazy though. I kind of came to the decision that I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to launch this like boot camp service where really I'm going to be focusing on, taking traders through a 60-day training where, we'll have classroom sessions after hours. We'll go through trades. We'll talk about building a watch list, for the next day. So whether I'm in the chat the next day or not, you're prepared, and the goal is that after 60 days you're like ready to fly. So I'll think through like what's gonna happen and how all that is gonna work itself out, but put the curriculum together, courses, so I got a pretty good response and a lot of people seem to be interested, and that's the way to be. I mean, what a lot of these gurus do is they think of ways to keep you in their room for as long as possible and to hemorrhage money out of you. So I'm not gonna charge you for no scanners, all the stuff that I use on Thinkorswim. I'm gonna give to you. So none of that, none of those extra fees. You're basically gonna pay one flat fee, for the course, for the 60-day course, and we'll meet a few times a week. I haven't decided, probably 3 or 4 days a week, and we'll have an actual curriculum. We'll go through courses. We'll actually review trades. You'll have access to me for 24 hours. And you have like a lifetime access into a room. Like I'm not gonna like upsell you and try to charge you every month after that. If you do the boot camp, we're good. Like you're in the room and you don't have to worry about paying fees and all that after the fact. None of that crap. So I think this will be a good experiment, and I think you guys would be the results, like to say, hey, I did this, and after my 60 days I seen improvement, consistency, I'm making real money. And I understand now. I understand how to look for a stock. I understand how to mark a stock when I see something moving. I know how to use these scanners. Like I know where to buy. I know where my potential exits are. I know how to place limit orders in advance so I get executed fast. Like all those things, all the things that these guys don't tell you, I'm gonna like teach you, so that you can be profitable. So that you can have an edge and understand when to place a trade and be disciplined enough not to place trades. So there's times where it's days and sometimes even weeks where I won't place a trade. I'm not comfortable trading. So even if I think a stock's going to go up, I'm like, it's not my key setup. I'm not trading near, a key level. So, right, if I'm trading this right now, it's just gambling, and I don't want to develop those habits. So that's part of like learning how to trade too. All those things, and it'll be priced reasonably too. It's not gonna be no freaking $8,000-$10,000 crazy fees that these guys charge you, and then crazy monthly fees afterwards. I mean, they just destroy you. So that's not my goal. Again, feel free to DM me on Twitter, watchotrade, and I'll teach you more. Now honestly, maybe you decide you just want to watch the videos and just teach yourself. That's how I taught myself. So if you can do that, but to make a small investment into, you're going to get it back and you're going to learn. So, I can't even tell you how many hours I've spent watching videos, studying, learning to get to the point where I'm at now. Not everybody has that luxury, not everybody has that kind of time. So this will condense your time, and you'll learn an edge, So, you'll learn like why I pick these stocks and all those kinds of things. Like how do I pick a watch list and how do I set up the charts, everything. So I'll teach you everything that I know, and then when I'm trading, I'll be in there trading with you, telling you, all right, this is why I'm gonna make a trade and this is why, and all that. You'll know. Like the point is, like you'll know. Like after 60 days, you'll even know what I'm thinking before I even think it, because you're gonna learn everything. And the thing about the strategy, that it's simple. That's the key. That it's simple, and you're gonna see how simple it is. You're like, Jesus. And once you start understanding things more, you'll feel like ridiculous if you was in another room, like, Jesus, like why I never understood, like this is so not complicated. Why did I complicate this? Or why did my guru complicate this, sort of thing. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So let's talk about the stocks on my watch list for tomorrow. So these are the stocks. I quickly went and just searched for some stocks. The first one I saw is VIOT. So VIOT is a new IPO, just launched 2 days ago. It's had, you know, 2 red days, and it's very simple. So the technical chart is a stock based, a company based out of China. I couldn't even find like news on like what the company actually does, to be quite honest with you. Maybe you guys can figure it out. I didn't spend a ton of time though doing this. So if we look at the chart, this is the last 2 days. Its high point was 1095 when it launched. When the market opened yesterday, and you know it found its support at 897, held it, you know, kind of popped at the open, and you know it couldn't break through this key resistance level and just faded all day. So why is it on my watch list? Because eventually it's gonna have a green day, and it hit a low of 820. Now tomorrow maybe the market opens, it pops, you know, maybe it gets to this 859 level, then fades back down to this 830, 820 level where it held support. And if you see like a double bottom form, you take a trade, you go long, risking off it, because maybe that's where it's gonna be the turnaround and start moving. That's what I usually see with these IPOs. Like they sell off a couple of days and then they just start running. So you know, that's why it's on my watch list. So you keep a side eye on it. Maybe you put an alert, you know, at the 2 levels. And you know, you could just watch how it plays off that, you know. Or let's say it just spikes and it can't hold this 8. Let's say it gets back up to this 897 level, which is a key area of consolidation, and can't hold and fade. You could take a short if you find it. If you have shares to short of this stock, you know, it may not be available for shorting yet. If you have TradeNet, you should be able to short it though. All right, so that's what I'm looking at for tomorrow with this stock. All right. Next up is NVAX. NVAX is had a couple of green days. It had 2 green days. Today had its first red day. You know, it gapped up on news. It got to a high of 220. It faded back. Now, if we look at the 1 year, or I'll just put up. Let's do like 5 years or 3 years, whatever. Let's see where it's been. So this is a stock that at one time was at $9. It completely tanked on news, got to a low of 73 cents, got to a high of 289, and now it's found its support at 114, and now it's moving again. Probably some news, but it's probably some shit company. I don't know the fundamentals are. So, but what I'm looking at is the stock had a couple of green days, right? You know, it had this big pullback yesterday, gapped up pre-market, got up to its high of like 206, and then just kind of faded and found support at 183. So what I'm looking to see is that maybe now this is the beginning of the end. This could be the trend reversal we're going to see. So what I would like to see what happens is, let's see it spike, and let's see it in here. Let me mark a line here, a trend line here. So let's see if it can get, if it's going to retest this like 196 level or $2 level, and if it can't hold it, then you know you can go short risking it. So maybe it'll pops, and then it can't hold this like anywhere between 196 and $2, and then continues to fade, you know. And if it gets up to here, what I would be looking at first cover is at 190, and if it can't hold 190, then the second cover would be right here, 180 to 180. All right, and if it broke below that, I would keep holding all the way down to at least to 175, because this is the next area where it pivoted, and to 175, 170 level. That's it. Now let's say it does the opposite. Let's say it just starts ripping and it breaks above $2 and it holds $2, then I would go long, risking 2, and then see how it reacts to 207. If it breaks 207, then you can expect that it's gonna retest the high day, and that would be my potential exit. All right, that's what I'm looking at with this stock. Next up, PPD. PPD. Now I want to talk about this. Let me go in a little more detail, because this is like the strategy that I talk about a lot. So let's pull up the 15-minute chart. So this is a stock that had been running up. It got to a high of 26, pulled back, found support here at $24, and then continued to rip up to $27, pulled back, spikes all the way to 28, and then closes weak. Now look what happens, guys. It closes weak pre-market. It starts spiking, and then it tanks, right? It finds its support down here at 25.50, right? Which was let's see if this 25.50. It's a 50 whole numbers are psychological resistance barriers. It looks like it bounced off, yeah, because this was the previous breakout level. That's why it's a significant number. But it bounces. Now this is what I like to do. When I see these massive sell-offs, I'd like to do either two things. Look to buy a quick dip, because when you get a big sell-off like this, you're gonna get a quick bounce. But what I love to do is see the bounce, and because it closed weak, look to short it. And if you notice, look what happens. The stock spikes and it gets rejected right into this key consolidation level of 27.13, and then you go short, risking off that level. This is a strategy that I teach and that I love to trade. And you know, and look at this, it just faded, and you know, and with a stock like this, 1,000 shares can get you, you know, close to $1,000. You know, and once you go short, you just want to look at, all right, where's the previous pivot level? The previous pivot level is here, right here. So this is where I would cover, and if you notice, this is where the stock starts fading, and then look at where it bounces off. That's it, previous support. That's how you trade stocks, guys. I know that, you know, people complicate this and they have you look at all these indicators. It doesn't have to be. I mean, in theory, you can look at what I'm doing, and this is enough to kind of teach yourself to a certain extent without even having to get guidance, you know. But to me, like, you know, if you really are struggling, you really want to learn your learning curve and go through trades and over again and really understand and have some structure, then it's worth investing the money in, because yeah, you're gonna really learn, you know. But tomorrow, so what am I looking for tomorrow, right? So look, it spiked, it pulled back, and it closed weak. So my guess is tomorrow, right? There's no guarantees that you're gonna see a continuous fade. So what I would think is gonna happen tomorrow is that it's just gonna spike. Maybe it fades, you know, all the way back down to 25.50 at the open, bounces. But then I would look to see at these consolidation levels, and it can't hold. I would short it, risking off those consolidation levels. And you're gonna think, well, Omar, how would I know if I'm not watching it all day? This is where you would put alerts, and this is why I love Thinkorswim. You just create an alert, and this is all the stuff that I'm gonna teach you in the boot camp, you know. And you would mark the alert, and the alert would be there. And then I'm gonna teach you how to create a grid where you can watch multiple stocks at once. Now, this is all stuff that you can teach yourself. You don't need me to do this, but you know, a lot of people feel like they need a lot of guidance, and I don't blame you, man. You know, like even me, like if I found a room or a guru worth learning from, I would pay to learn from someone. If I can learn some good knowledge, learn something, like everyone. I mean, you know, the best athletes in the world continue to get coaching. It's not like, hey, I'm the fastest runner, so I don't need coaching on running. No, you got to continue to learn and adapt. Same thing. So I have no problems with that. I just haven't found anyone who I felt had a high level of integrity. That's why I haven't joined the room, you know. So, you know, myself to continue to learn, you know, but I'm gonna continue to learn. I study still like I don't know anything. So, you know, I'm always looking for an edge. Even the guys that I shit on, if they post videos, I watch, because maybe they're gonna post something useful for me to learn. I'm very humble, always looking to learn. You know, I am not like this guy who thinks I'm all that. No, not at all. But I know that I can teach you to be a good trader and make good profits. That I can tell you, as good as anyone. Even everybody's videos that I watch does exactly what I do, and I think I'm better at teaching it than all of them, to be quite honest with you. So, all right. So that's what I'm looking at tomorrow. Let's see how PPD plays out. I think, you know, looking at the chart, we go back 1 year. You know, it's had this pullback, had this rip pullback, and you know, it seemed to have topped out here. I think maybe it's ready to pull back a little further. You know, let's see. Maybe it gets back all the way back to that 24.17 level and then runs again. I don't know. Who knows? Nobody ever knows. So don't ask me what I think a stock is gonna do, because my answer is I'm gonna know. That's the first thing you learn in boot camp. Don't ask. That's the dumbest question to ask anyone. Nobody knows what a stock's gonna do. Next up, IGC. I'm sorry, IGC. So this stock is spiking again. I mean, it doesn't want to die. Now this thing has been up on bullshit, no news really, and it's up now because they had an offering yesterday. That's why it faded, and it's up on after hours right now because they're saying that they're gonna enter the cannabis drink market. That's bullshit, guys. It doesn't. This is up on bullshit. This is manipulation, and it should fade tomorrow. I mean, anything's possible, but let's look at the bigger chart. So, and you know, it looks, and I know, like, oh my god, all these lines, like, they don't make sense now, but when you go through the course, they'll make a lot of sense. And basically, the support and resistance lines, and they're extraordinarily helpful. Trust me, they're gonna be a lifeline and help you guide it. Think of these as like your MACD, your RSI, all those stupid indicators that you use. You don't need that. This is what you really need, these lines to help guide you in trades. So you know, it's ripping after hours, and it found it and it got rejected here. Now what do I think is going to happen tomorrow? I mean, this should not run. If it runs, it's because it's some news. My guess is that tomorrow it's going to fade, probably in pre-market. It'll probably hold 304. You'll get a spike up into this 320, 330 level, and then fade all the way back down to like either 280 or 260. That's my guess. But me personally, I wouldn't really touch this unless it held above 378. If it got to 378 and held, like, unless, what I mean by that is it gaps up, pulls back, maybe dips below, consolidates, gaps up, and then kind of holds it, and then I would go long. Otherwise, I kind of wouldn't touch this long. I would only be looking to short this, to be quite honest with you. Unless the other option for me to go long is, like, let's say at the open it just panics and it just starts fading, and it gets back to like this previous support level. If you notice, I have 275 map here, and it's probably because this was a previous support level here. But somewhere like at 275, if it held 275 or the next support level below. Now I didn't map all these. I would have to like remap them, but I would look at, all right, next, what's the next level below? And the next key level support here would be, at least to me, would be like this 240 level. So, you know, let's say it fades and just continuously like just tanks. And if it held, if I see it at 240 and I see a momentum shift, like, I would go long, dip buying it off that, just for a quick dip buy, rip, you know, because what happens is all the shorters are looking at which area they're going to cover, and then you're looking at it too. So then you just get in on that momentum, you know, so that could potentially happen. So there's a lot of consolidation here. We need a lot of volume to break it. I don't see it does, but tomorrow it might, you know, rip and then just get into this area and then just fade, and you just ride the wave down. You know, the key is to be able to have shares to short. Thinkorswim, don't ever use Thinkorswim for trading. If you have a guru that's using Thinkorswim to trade, trust, he ain't trading, because no day trader in their right mind would use Thinkorswim. All right, the executions are horrible. They never have shares to short, but really their executions are horrible. They're so bad. Like, you cannot trade with size on a Thinkorswim. They're just like, you don't get filled. Like, it's horrible. The fills are horrible. Like, I would use Thinkorswim. I have a Thinkorswim account for my swing trading. So for my IRA, that's fine, because you're holding positions over long periods of time. But if you're gonna be day trading, trying to get in and out fast, stay away from Thinkorswim. They freezes, the executions suck, but they're great for charting. So I always use them for charting, and it's free. So next, that's GC. AMRN is next. Now AMRN, this is a stock that I was telling everybody to buy at I think it was, where is it, at 950. I told everybody to buy if it held. I had mapped this pre-market a couple of days ago, and sure enough, the stock tanked. And look, just so you can learn something, stock hits its high pre-market, starts fading. Look where it bounces. Why did it bounce at 950? Because this, on the pre-market, this is where it pulled back and pivoted and ran. I mean, you're like, holy shit, I never thought about that. You know, like, look, like, but this is how simple trade. Like, you shouldn't overthink trading, and too many people do. So what happened today? So it closes weak yesterday. It rips. This is the same pattern on PPD. Look what happens. Gaps up. Gets to this consolidation level. This was a pivot point, couldn't hold it, right? So you see right here, it gets near this consolidation level, can't hold it, fades, you know, and then it bounces over here. This is the previous day's close. Close price is always an area of support or resistance, depending on whether or not the stock is above or below it. All right, now just so you know, okay, this stock, you know, kind of gapped up, faded, so it can't break out, so it's sideways. It's overextended. All right, from 2 to 14, it's due for a red day. So I think because it couldn't break it, now don't quote me on this. Let's look at the yearly chart just so you can see. All right, 3 green days, usually the 4th day is the red day. That's kind of like the normal trading, you know, flow. Doesn't mean it will be, but because it couldn't break out and it's consolidating, I think tomorrow is the first red day. So this is what I think is going to happen. All right, What I think is going to happen, pre-market is going to start fading. It's going to find some support somewhere, probably around this 1310 level. The market's going to open, it's going to spike. It's going to get to this 1350 level, right, and get rejected and just go red. And then it's going to fade all the way down either to 1250 or even below that. Maybe it'll fade down to like, you know, this key level down here, maybe like 11. I don't think it's going to get back to 11, but it's possible. But I think at least tomorrow it gets back to 1250. I could be wrong. So let's say it goes the opposite direction. That's great. That's why we map our support and resistance. If it can break 14 and hold it, then you would go long, risking 14. And your potential stop, your first price target is 14.19 because you want to see how it reacts there. But if it breaks through that, then this is gonna probably retest higher day, 1464 or 1464 or at least 1450. All right, so that's what I think, you know, could potentially happen. I think tomorrow though it fades and it goes red. And you remember, if you don't short, you can't short. You just look, all right, I'm gonna look for that dip buy opportunity. Maybe if I see it tanking, I want to see how it's gonna react to 1250 to potentially buy a dip and just ride that quick momentum. You know, make quick money and call it a day. If it can't hold it, then you see how it reacts to the next level. Maybe it gets good back down to this 1176 level, and if it holds it, then you buy that dip. All right, that's how trading works, guys. All right, so that's what I'm looking at tomorrow. ALDX. Now this is another stock that, you know, went crazy, had this big rip, probably on some news. I didn't check to see what's happening, but you know, it ripped pre-market, pulled back, found support at 1190, and then ripped all the way back, tested higher day, and faded. This is why you never buy a breakout, high day breakout. All these idiots who chased here got fucking, you know, the whole left holding the bag. This is what, you know, these Tim Sykes and Warrior Trading guys don't teach you. Hey, you know, don't buy a breakout. Wait for the breakout to happen and see if it's gonna hold support. They just tell you buy the breakout, and this is bag holders chase, and they lose a lot of money. Look at this. This thing faded fast. You know, so tomorrow what I'm thinking is, all right, I would like to see this stock, see how it's going to react. Is it going to pull back to 11 and hold and then dip buy it? Or is it going to spike and see how it reacts to these levels? So I would be looking to see how it's going to react to this 1405 level, which is the first, or actually $14 here, 14 or 1405. And if it can hold that, then I would continue to go long, looking at a potential, you know, price target of 1430. And if it could break that, you know, then this thing you could potentially get back to 1480. But I think I'll be looking to short. Me personally, I'd be looking to short one of these areas if it can't hold 1480 or 1450, because I don't think it gets back to 1670. I mean, maybe it's possible, but I don't think it does. So that's what I would be looking for tomorrow. Okay, that's that stock. Next up is IEYE. This stock is crazy. This stock is like, this run has been nuts. I've been following since $2. Boy, I wish I knew. Now I have this because it just continuously wants to run, so I want to see if it's going to get back up to 29.30 and it holds and just keeps running and tests 30. I mean, if you look at, let's go back on the time frame. I'm gonna go back, let's say 10 years. Oops. Let's see. I don't know how. Yeah, this stock. Yeah, in the last 10 years, all right, this is the highest it's ever been. So, you know, it has this big candle. You know, tomorrow it might fade at the open. It got high, but it closed sort of weak, you know. So my guess is tomorrow, I would love to see how it reacts to 28. If it can get back to 28 and can't hold it, I would short, risking 28. If it could hold 28, I would go long, risking 28. So you're gonna say, oh, well, how do you know? You know, how, to me, you know, I don't like to buy a stock that breaks over a key level right away. I like to see it like rip above it and then pull back and hold. And if I see it hold, meaning I'm seeing a lot of support, a lot of buyers, a lot of time and sales green prints going at that 28 level, a lot of buyers at that 28 level and level 2, then I go long. I don't pay so much attention to level 2 as much as I do the time and sales. But you know, you gotta watch both. So that's what I'm looking at. Otherwise, I'm not trading it, you know. Now, let's say if it breaks above 28 and holds, I would be, this is an area of consolidation. So this 28.50 level would be important to see how it holds. If it can't hold it, then, you know, short it. But if I bought at 28, I'd probably be looking to sell it at 28.50 if I see it running, you know. And I already have my limit order set there, so I get filled and I stay disciplined. That's the key, guys. That's the thing. Who cares? All right, so you miss it. Let's say it goes to 29. Fuck it. Who cares? You made money. That's the key. You know, like, that's the key more than anything else. And let's say you get 1,000 shares. You sell 750 shares at 28.50, and then you let the other 250 shares run to see if it's going to test 20 and keep going. That is how you trade. That's how smart traders trade. You secure your profit. Otherwise, you're gonna lose, you know. And you know, you by the time you try to put your order, if it goes against you, the stock sometimes rips and you lose a lot of profit. Already have those limit orders already ready to secure your profit. You can always cancel them if it goes against you. That's how you trade. That's the stuff that I'm gonna teach you and drill in your heads. So next up is AVIO. AVIO is one of these stocks that runs and then crabs and then runs and then crabs. So now it's moving again. Doesn't have a lot of range, but you know, it does. You know, sometimes it can have these big pullbacks. So what I'm looking to see AVIO is, right, it gapped up. It had this it went from 316 to 359, and then it pulled back to 329, and then, you know, kind of consolidated. So what I would like to see is how is it going to react if it spikes and it can't hold 350. Then maybe I potentially go short, looking to cover at 335, 329 or 329. That would have already my orders filled there to see, and you know, and then maybe I let it run. If it can't hold that, I keep holding and see if it gets back to 320. 320 would be a potential good place to dip buy. Now if it holds 350, then I would potentially look to buy it. But really the key is I probably wouldn't touch this unless it broke 359 and held it. That's really the only key area for me. Now, like I said, I'm not in love with anything I saw. The market was kind of shitty today, but you know, these are stocks. I'm just giving you ideas based on what I saw. I would have to do a lot more research. And then the last stock I'm looking at is EYPT. The only reason I'm looking at this is because it's at its yearly high, 345. Now, I think tomorrow this thing fades. Now, let me look here. It's a hard to borrow on Thinkorswim, but I bet you E-Trade would have shares. E-Trade is actually very good for shorts, finding shares to short. You can't short stocks under $1, unfortunately. And believe it or not, you can with Thinkorswim. You can short stocks under $1, but they're just very hard to find shares to short. They just suck for shorting. So very easy. Now, if you look at, let me pull up the 10-year time frame just so you can see. Now, there is a ton of overhead resistance here at 350. If you notice here on the 10-year time frame, right? This is the 350 level. So I don't. But if you look at the volume here at this range, the volume candles 190,000 shares, 29,000 shares. You know, the volume's so low that if there's volume tomorrow, you might not be you know, then it doesn't matter. But today it traded 1.7 million shares, 391,000 shares is the average. Tomorrow, my expectation is maybe it's at the open it spikes, it gets back to this level and then fades all day, and it would be a great short tomorrow. Now, if it can break 345, be careful because you got a lot of overhead resistance at 350, and I just don't see it keep running. I think tomorrow is the first red day. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe it keeps running. I mean, like I said, anything is possible in the stock market. But you know, you're taking, you know, you're guesstimating, you know, based off support and resistance, and because since it's had, you know, like 8 green days, you know, it's due for a red day. It doesn't mean that it's going to, but because there's so much overhead resistance at that 350 level, I expect it to fade, and I expect it to at least get back to this 310, you know, $3 level. So let's see if I'm right. But if it hits 350 and holds, you can take it long. Just remember that you got a lot of overhead resistance. So, you know, the stock could get rejected and then start fading. So be careful. All right. But I would be more interested in this in a short. So that's what I'm looking at tomorrow. You know, keep letting me know if you're interested in this, you know, in this boot camp that I'm going to do. Again, it's going to be an after hours thing. You know, it's going to be like a course curriculum. You know, I'm going to have a limited amount of spots. You know, we'll probably, I'm looking to do it to hold, you know, sessions 3, maybe 4 times a week, maybe 3 days during the week, and then Sundays, I think would be a good day to do it. And because I want to have people from, you know, all different time frames, it's going to be, you know, it has to be in the evening so that it gives everybody an opportunity to do it, to be part of and take part. But people ask me, are they going to be recorded? Yeah, each session would be recorded. I would post it so that you can review what you missed. And you know, I think it's a good opportunity to learn, man, to really learn how to look at stocks, to learn how to look for things pre-market. What are you looking for? I'll show you all that, all those things that the gurus really don't spend the time to show you. And you know, right now there's a lot of rooms popping up everywhere, and everybody's trying to charge you a shit ton just to be in the room on a monthly basis. And you know, how do you learn? Like it's hard to learn that way because you got hundreds of people, sometimes thousands of people in a room, just too much noise. It's hard to learn. So a boot camp, I think, is focused because I can really spend the time and really show you what you really want to learn. And that way, the goal is that you're self-sufficient. So we review, once you get to a point where you're comfortable trading, you know, learning and understanding a strategy with the patterns that I'm gonna teach you, then you know you're like ready to run, you know, and that's the key. So that you can be self-sufficient. If you feel like you need a room in order to be a good trader, then you're gonna fail. You know, if you need the guru's guidance, you're gonna fail. And I'll show you how you fail. I'm gonna show you, before I end this, I'm gonna show you what a Chatwin pump looks like. This is a Chatwin pump, CLRB. Now, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I know some of you follow me on Deckmark Trades Room, but this is a clear pump. This is what a pump and dump looks like. Deckmark says, hey, I'm looking at this stock. Now look at this shit. No volume, zero volume, right? There's absolutely no volume. And then all of a sudden he starts talking about this, and at about 3 o'clock, so he started talking about this like I think at 2, preparing. And what his subs don't realize is, you see, he's buying. He's set. No, I can't say that this is for sure, but my guess is that he's buying, he's selling. So he's prepping the sheep, he's letting them know, and then he posts an alert, and then they all jump in and they drive the price of the stock up really quickly as a group, and then they get sold into. Shorts go in because there are a lot of short sellers that are in his room just to bet against him. As soon as he alerts, they know like he's just calling out some random stock, and then it fades. And that's what a Chatwin pump looks like, when it just gaps up, spikes really fast, when you get this quick spike and quick tank. That's what it is. It's a Chatwin pump, and he was pumping it. All right, as this is, I'm just gonna keep it real with you. I'm not saying he does it all the time, but he does it. So does Warrior Trading in a lot of these rooms. And you know, and then he looks like a hero, and you're like, oh my god, he's amazing. And really what he's doing, he's setting you up to hold a bag. That's what it looks like here. So I just want you to know that, man. A lot of you guys defend them, but you guys don't know shit about trading. That's why you're joining their rooms, because you know nothing and you just blindly believe them. You don't really have the sophistication to understand, because you don't really know the market. You just know what they teach you. So you think that this is legitimate. That's what these things are. That's what a legitimate pump and dump looks like. This is a pump and dump, 100%. All right. There is no reason why you should be buying this stock. You know, look at this. There's nothing here. I mean, you know, technically if you're doing the gap and go, then 320 would have been the actual area to go. But I wouldn't have bought this. You know, I would never teach you to just buy a breakout like that. You know how I am. I teach you to wait for the pullback, and if it holds a support, this is where I would have taught you to buy. Right here, wait for that pullback and see if it holds the breakout level, and if it does, then you buy. This is the safe buy, not this bullshit. This is just a fucking. This is a Chatwin pump. Anyway, so I hope that you find this helpful. You know, let me just detach this so you can see. I'm going to show you how to do all this. I'm going to show you. I'm going to share everything with you once you join the room. So this is what, again, this is what I would be looking at tomorrow. I am not going to be able to trade tomorrow, unfortunately. But, you know, these are the stocks I'll be looking at. Now, I'll teach you also that, you know, a lot of times I have these on watch, but there's something much more beautiful pops up on the scanner pre-market. And I'm like, this is a much easier trade than any of this shit. So let's focus on this, you know, sort of thing. So I'll teach you that as well. All right, so I hope everything is well, guys. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, and share, and have